and welcome to part two of my time in school and the damages that it caused me. Uh, I always remember my first day of junior high. I borrowed some clothes off a friend of mine because I didn't like, what my mom bought me. And I remember I went down to the bus stop that day, and I had a cousin who lived over in Ramsey Terrace, and I didn't understand what he was doing at my bus stop with him and his friends. But I found out later on what was going on because it's a crazy and a confusing family problem, which I'll probably just get into a little later. But I remember I walked into the building that day. I'd seen a few people from Ramsey, and there was some in my homeroom. And when I walked in, all the whispering started and all that fun shit. And I pulled out a book on Native American culture that I borrowed from my dad that day. I mean, because I did love to read, and I love to read probably more than others. But like I said, I've learned like a lot of things on my own. So it was just a confusing day finding the classrooms. That was a bit of a hassle. Then shit really sparked off at lunch. I sat down, and lo and behold, Larry Kiefer sits down next to me, and he's like, "Oh, hey, remember me? You looked at my girlfriend. I told you I was gonna make your life miserable and everything." So I mean, it was just like, "Oh shit, man. Here we go." I mean, it was just unreal. I just after lunchtime, I mean, it just all of a sudden I had all these people after me, and I didn't understand who they were or what they wanted from me, and it just basically turned out, Larry was doing a bunch of talking, and even the bus ride home, all of a sudden I had kids chasing me off the goddamn bus, and yeah, I mean, mind you, I'm probably about 12 years old. I shouldn't have to put up with this bullshit. I don't know what these people, really wanted from me, what their problems were, or what the deal was. Like I said, you're supposed to, tell on people and all this shit. But I mean, like it did me any good. No one there was helping me. I wasn't rich. I wasn't on a sports team. My home situation wasn't all that great either. My dad, he's a former military person. He's a veteran. He was in the Army. He worked at Rack Engineering in Connellsville, Pennsylvania. They treated their workers horribly. I mean, imagine going to cash your paycheck and there's no money there because the people who owned the business, they didn't put no money in there. They couldn't afford to put no money in there, and you basically got to wait a long time before you get to cash your check. That's what we dealt with. And then my mom had to go work for Brown's Candy to help out, And then when I got off the bus, I'd have to wait for my brother, because I'd have to make food for my brother. That's kind of what I had to deal with, and it was really hard. And when my dad come home from work, he wasn't in a good mood. Sometimes he was laid off for a couple months at a time. That was the 80s for you. He couldn't go get you just go get another job. And I that once you put so much seniority into a place, it's kind of hard to get away. And especially with pensions and all that, I don't understand how that all works, but you know, there was also people too who could have helped us out, but they didn't. And like I always said, there ain't no person you can ever count on but yourself. You can never count on nobody but you. Let that be a life lesson, people. But I remember I I had this kid named Joe Pushkar who was after me now, and this resulted from Larry Kiefer, and a bunch of the other guys. And now I had him chasing me, and he got me off the bus one day. Him and Chris Cruzan and a bunch of other kids. They followed him, and the son of a bitch broke my jaw, and I still got problems in my jaw at this day because of him. Well, we went to the school and they didn't do shit about it because he was on the wrestling team and the football team and all that, and they needed their fucking number one jock, you know. And now if I'd have fucking broke his goddamn jaw, I'd have been sitting in jail. Which is how that works. I mean, that fucking Mount Pleasant school system, that's a goddamn shit show up there, you know. So, I mean, after a while, I started hanging out with undesirable kids, anyone wearing a leather jacket or a band shirt, had long hair, I was just attracted to that element. And, that a lot of people left them alone. And, word got around that I was hanging with these people to my aunt, who was a troublemaker. And my favorite story is she told people that I put my head through a bus window. Now, mind you, back in the day, these bus windows are made of plexiglass. I mean, if I'd have put my head through that window, I'd have been dead. Or I'm fucking Superman or some shit like that. But thanks to the Joe Pushgar situation, my school bus got changed. I had to ride another bus and get on a bus down by what was the name of that place? Altman Auto Parts. And I noticed my cousin started following me down there too. Him and his buddies Ray, Charlie, and PJ. They were on that, and his buddy Ray that time started punching me in the head when he had a fucking roid rage. No wonder I probably have some brain damage getting hit in the head so much. But the one day his buddies, they got on the bus. It was Ray, Charlie, PJ, and my cousin. They were giving me some shit on the way home. And Charlie had a rubber dildo wherever he got that, I don't know. And he was hitting people across the head with it, shoving it in their faces. And I remember he fucking wrapped that thing around my head, and my head was ringing. And the bus, went on his merry way. And I remember, he threw that thing and he hit me in the back of the head. So I turned around, I threw it right back at him. Next thing I know, I'm getting dragged out of my goddamn seat towards the back of the bus. I'm getting the shit kicked out of me by all these people. Then all of a sudden, I heard, my cousin and Charlie, they're like, hey, let's stick this dildo up his ass. Now, this is, where I almost was raped on a school bus. And I started fighting like hell. I mean, I was biting and kicking and doing whatever I had to do. Then the bus driver, he stopped because of the he stopped at one of the stops. I mean, well, this is all going on. They didn't do nothing. I mean, he didn't pull over and say, hey, that's enough, stop this shit. They never did nothing like that back then, but they just let it go on. Well, once he did stop, I got off. I opened up that back emergency door and I got off there and I fucking boogied on out. I fucking ran to these bike ash dumps out there, where we rode our bikes because I knew the area real well. And I remember I fucking ran and hid underneath a pipe where this creek was. And I mean, mind you, I was covered head to toe, fucking, dirt. I mean, I was like muddy as hell. A lot of my books got ruined and everything. And I remember I laid there underneath there for probably about 2 hours, just waiting for them to leave, and then when I got home, it was like, where the hell were you at? Why are you all dirty? But I couldn't say nothing because, it was my cousin. And my uncle, was a cop at the time, and he would have got my cousin off the hook. My aunt, was a troublemaker. My grandma probably would have died 10 years earlier. She died in 1996, and this was 1986. She probably would have fucking dropped dead of a heart attack. And I couldn't say much, and I was afraid, because I thought I was going to, get fucking sent away or locked up, you know. My aunt caused so much trouble for us. I was almost raped for fuck's sake. This isn't a joke. Even though I avoided being violated, I still felt sick, disgusting, worthless, and powerless, and when a rape victim says to me, you don't know what it's like, I beg to differ. I wanted to commit suicide. I had nobody to tell, or, I had no way out of this. I was only 12 years old. 12 years old, and these fuckers were probably about 15, 17, 18 years old. No wonder these fucking kids go on shooting sprees. Can you fucking blame them? You know, especially when people are supposed to help you, ain't doing it, and top that off, I had a girl, her name was Becky. She was coming up, hitting on me and everything else, and I didn't know what that meant. Telling me she wanted to suck my dick and everything else, and, she put a feminine hygiene product on my back. And, when I called her out on it, I, went to the principal about it. Next thing I know, I had her brother and her and their friends after me, and she sat there in the office crying the fake tears like I was this big fucking monster and everything else, and honestly, man, I'm just so pissed that, shit should have been done, but it wasn't. It was just constant bullshit every day. I had to watch my back. I wasn't doing good in school. So in 1987, I found some clarity when I was invited to a youth group meeting at an Assembly of God church in the area. I really liked it there. And, one day out of the week I had peace. I went to Sunday school and the church services, and it was just kind of fun, just a bit of a way out, for the day. Sundays and Wednesdays were my thing. I could go there and it was peaceful. It was nice. The kids there weren't assholes like they were in school. But, am I a survivor? Yes, I am. I've been through so much shit that the average person would have checked out a long time ago, and I almost did a few times. You know, at 12, 13 years old, I shouldn't have to go through this. This was all bullshit. People don't understand. I'm a person, I'm a human being. Like I said, there were no cell phones, there was no internet, there was no, Black Lives Matter or Antifa or whatever the hell it is, back then. I had no information on, where I could turn for help or where I could go. In the school, they did what the hell they wanted. They let people off the hook, especially the jocks and the cheerleaders and, the nerds and whatever the hell else. But, I'm really pissed off right now. Part three, I'll get to it a little later. But, for now, this is part two. This is the shit that happened to me. I swear 100% to God that this shit's true. And, I will get to some shit later about, what happened later on, including my second year of seventh grade and all that fun shit. But, cheers and beers. See you in the afterlife.